Hi everyone. So as I can see, we have about 150 people who have joined us today out of 250 people who registered. I'm expecting more people to join us. I'll share a few names who are right now viewing this webinar before we start. Uh, we have uh, we have Shraddha, who is a digital marketing executive. We have Sandesh Khare, who is an IT manager. Then we have Mr. Lok Anand, Sandeep from Smile Foundation. uh, Sarpal Naveen, who is Vice President of Growth Thinkers, CEO of Accurate Digital. We have Sri Devi, who is Head of Sales at Google India. Amazing. We have um, someone who is the Assistant Manager of India First Life Insurance. So we have a good audience list as of now. Uh, I won't take time reading all the names, but about 150 people who have joined us live. Thank you all for joining us. This is the episode 4 of what we call the MarTech Deciphered webinar series, where we bring in marketers, digital marketers, MarTech heads across the country and, of course, globally in a few episodes. And we discuss, what the future of MarTech is, what the future of AI is with respect to MarTech. Um, and is today's topic is how today's MarTech heads are, actually taking the brands towards an AI-driven marketing future. So, good evening, everyone. I welcome you to the MarTech Deciphered series, which is the fourth episode brought to you by e4m. I'm Rich Pava, your moderator and editorial lead of the MarTech vertical at Exchange for Media. Today's theme is something I feel brands can no longer ignore. The idea of a new playbook. Um, why? Because of course tools are multiplying. In fact, if you saw just about on 5th of May, which was the Global Martech Day, Scott Brinker launched his new report and said now we are at 15,000 plus tools. As marketers, I think finding the right tool is needle in the haystack. So, I mean, I read the report is a 132-page report, which is the holy grail for us, journalists as well as people who are into marketing technology as well as digital market. And, in those 15,000 tools, it's very, very difficult to find the right tool for you. It's very difficult to generate the appropriate skills for that tool, and then to put it into use. So, uh, so tools are multiplying. AI is rewriting workflows, but brand loyalty is as, still as fragile as ever. And, with the decreasing attention spans, the irony is that the more we go towards personalization of the consumer, the loyalty is dropping down. It should increase, right? However, we are seeing, a day and age in a phenomenon where customer loyalty is coming down. Uh, so what's really working? Uh, you know, what are India's sharpest marketers betting on? Um, and what do they believe we should leave behind? To our audience, welcome. We are joined today by 5 leaders, each shaping the future of marketing and technology in uniquely Indian contexts, from finance to crypto to sustainability. Let's dive in. I have with me Mr. Harshad Dhavale, who is the MarTech lead at Sprinkler, Dr. Shruti Sharma Rana, who is the associate professor at Terry and expert in climate action policy, um, and looking at the intersection of marketing and sustainability, which is very interesting. I have with me Niharika Sharma, who is the head of marketing at Savin. I also have with me Mr. Pranjal Agarwal, who is India market head at Mudrex. I just got a text from Mr. Shobit Mathur that he had to get free from a meeting, but he hasn't yet. He's the head of Martech at Honda Cars. We would be expecting him soon to join. Welcome on board. Should we start the session? Great. So my first question is to you, Harshad. Only about 14% of CMOs globally say they have mastered, omni-channel orchestration. Yet the pressure to personalize at scale is, as you all know, is relentless. In India's fragmented market, what does orchestration actually look like in practice? Where are brands going wrong? I mean, there was an there was an example. I was searching for shoes on a certain website, and I went to a certain website online, and shoes was already written in the search box. Those two websites are not even related. The promoters are not related. The the investors are not related, and yet I didn't end up buying the shoe. So, uh, you know, m- uh, marketers today say that, omni-channel is the game, but are they taking omni-channel the right way? Let's start with you.
Yeah. When we talk about context, with context, with respect to context of India, we don't have a proper guideline on how to use data as per se. Likewise, you said, right? The example you just mentioned. Probably because you know what is going behind, that is why you did not end up buying the shoe. But from a marketing person's point of view, when someone is marketing in India, they might think, yeah, this will work. Why don't we work? Why don't we work it out? Right? Because there are no guidelines per se. So that is one thing that we should, look after. We should aim for that. We should have a guideline on how brands are using data, because as we are growing, we are getting literate about how one should all our companies should use data, and that's where the brand will can lose a lot of loyalty, even the trust, the first thing of the business, the core of the business, that is trust. So it is very important to have such guidelines here. I think Bridge, hello Bridge. Okay, I will continue to talk. I will continue the session. Bridge dropped off. So I think those guidelines are mandatory in India when we talk about, taking data from one website to another website. That is, of course, illegal. And that is where I think we all come in, all digital marketers or uh, MarTech, even individual contributors come in, where we should think about how the data should flow. Even in our system, how we are, how we are taking third-party data and first-party data. That is something we should take care about. And definitely, floor is open for all the speakers. I would like to invite everyone to, join my conversation. Yeah, tell Bridges here. What are the examples probably you have faced, or about data security, about how do you handle data at your organization, is something that we should, continue with. Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Harshad. Since Bridge is not there, and I would just like to step in here.
Yeah.
So when we are looking at the guidelines, because you mentioned about the guidelines, yes, we don't have in India, we don't have very stringent guidelines. Though there have been Niti Aayog has given broad the responsible AI guidelines. These are broader guidelines for businesses to work on when you are creating, you're working on the technology front, which actually talks about fairness. It talks about accountability, it talks about ownership, it talks about privacy by design, it talks about your inclusivity aspect. So it is a very broader aspect here. When you look at the regulation, the radar of regulation has started zooming in, now more to the business side, when you look at it from the technology side. And that is where I think the guidelines currently, when we are given with so many options, I think Bridge already mentioned that the new playbook talks about there's been so many apps around, and where do you find the right one, where do you find the solution. So I think having a rule book or having a guidelines do matter from the Indian perspective. So
Yeah.
Uh, Thank
Even
you for
on.
that. Sorry, apologies.
yes,
The
please.
India-Pakistan war has really broke the electricity system in India, so I got disconnected. Um,
All right.
so I think, Shruti ji, you swoop in. I'm sorry I couldn't hear your thoughts. I'll relay back. Um, Niharika, by the way, we have just been joined by Dhruval Doshi. He's the head of digital marketing at Tata Motors. as an audience. Thank you, Dhruval, for joining. My question now to you is, Niharika, you know, you are building an entirely, new market category.
Mhm.
76% of Gen Z today says, that they have switched providers due to poor digital experiences in health or finance. In a sector,
Right.
trust and timing is everything. How do you build journeys that don't just convert? And this question again comes from the fact where, loyalty today is something which is very hard to find.
Right. Thank you for asking that question, Rich. I think in order to cater to that answer, I would say that the journeys are not as linear as they used to be when it comes to designing marketing journeys. The funnel that we used to follow is dead now. Long
Absolutely.
live the infinity do. So what happens is when you, for example, even think about a product and you end up searching for it on Google, you might find it on Instagram, you might find it on LinkedIn, you might find it as a WhatsApp nudge also. So to build that journey, we have to be constantly aware that our customer has n number of options to shop from and the concentration or attention span is less than 3%, 3 seconds for that matter. So to answer this in a very structured manner, I would say that we have to go and revisit the processes, replace linear campaigns with dynamic funnels where we are introducing multiple touch points. Omni-channel campaigns actually come into the picture in this case. Design infrastructure in a way where you are reaching out to the potential prospect in a way it doesn't feel like spamming, but also nurture them with the value-based content, and try to understand the journey that they are also going after while making an purchase. So imagining yourself as a customer, putting yourself in their shoes and see why did you not end up buying that shoe for that matter. And also understanding that these processes that we inculcate in designing journeys have to have some sort of velocity. I mean, it cannot be a 3 day long process. It has to wrap it up in like 30 seconds and make sense to the Gen Z, because of course we cannot lose a customer to another option out who's operating in the same ecosystem just because we didn't pay attention or we didn't understand the mindset of the buying intent for that matter.
Um, Considering you have started on the at the on the loyalty front,
Mhm.
Pranjal, I think India's crypto market is has taken a deep dive uh, uh, because of WazirX. Not to say, but even I lost money. Um and today when customers are going for advanced fintech options, at that time something like that happens, right? It really takes off customer loyalty, right? you know about multi-million dollars of fund just being wiped away in a single day. How do you bring back that customer loyalty? And then the larger question comes in. you know Crypto is already something which attracts a lot of people. Fintech investments are already something which attracts a lot of people, but then how do you retain those customers using the right market tools today?
Cool, cool bridge. So started with a like a WazirX thing, which we want to avoid as much as possible talking
And forget.
about.
And
it's a,
forget.
it's really hurt the industry, but soon you'll get the money. Uh,
Not
just
not
to
the amount I invested, but anyway, yes, please go ahead.
anyways, yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah, yeah.
let's yeah.
Let's not go there. Let's. So, just as you said, see, as a fintech brand for investing, trading, where certain risks are certain, where risk exists. You I cannot remove the risk for the users. So, what we have observed is retention is most promised by the right education and awareness. You need to be able to nudge users at the right time about the certain risk that they are taking and educate them and help them take better decisions, and that gives you retention. Like, for example, I'll give you a few small examples that will help make the point. Like, crypto has a custody risk. You custodying with a centralized exchange, and centralized exchange can lose money. So whenever a user makes the first deposit on Mudrex, you need to give certain education nudges to him that, hey, you are depositing money, you can either choose to use a separate custodial wallet, and what is a custodial wallet, help them with certain videos and guide towards that. That's one for sure. The second is, since a lot of trading happens on a platform, so any users who enters, let's say, derivative trading, we auto populate a questionnaire, and we keep on changing, the AI keeps on changing the questions that you ask user before even trying the product, just to make sure that responsible trading is happening, and noobs are not entering and they end up losing hard-earned money just to make 10x or 100x. So I think that kind of automations in journeys really help retaining users, because the trust factor increases. If Mudrex is able to help a user take a better decision, they automatically trust Mudrex over other brands who are overselling that. The third thing is, you know while I am a big critique of hyper personalization, I don't believe in hyper personalization. I'm like, यार आज मेरा कुछ और मन है, कल मेरा कुछ और मन होगा, I don't want the same kind of ice creams daily, and you hyper optimize for my
Yeah.
experience. That ends up deteriorating the experience overall. The broader personalization help, but you need to be able to judge the right mood and character of user to offer them whatever communication or content that you want to offer them. So that has to be incorporated. What we largely that has happened to us is, I believe marketing has moved a lot more from just flashy campaigns, maybe to more focusing on experience of users at various touch points of brand, and not just pushing. Whenever a user is maybe like interacting with your Twitter or even your product at certain paces, how do you optimize the experiences? What matters today? And that experience leads to retention and increasing your LTV. That's the ultimate purpose of every marketer. So you need to focus on those parts, I guess.
Your point about hyper personalization brings me to my next topic. The past 4 or 5 interviews I've done, most MarTech and AI leaders globally are saying that, most people think AI is automation, or even if they don't think it is intelligence, they're using it as automation and
Automation.
not real intelligence. And I think that resonates with the example you gave. For example, if I go to Blinkit and order a vanilla ice cream, the next time I go to Blinkit, it doesn't know what is in my mind, right? Our intelligence is, it should know,
It
but
should know.
automation is that it will again, suggest me a vanilla ice cream. That's simple automation, which is being, placed on the platter of AI. And that brings me to my next question to you, uh, Harshad. Generative AI today, I mean, promises that will remove friction across the funnel. But many Indian brands are still stuck using it as a, let's say, a glorified copywriter. Where do you see the real wins are happening? Uh, you
So
know, yeah, please go ahead, please go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So few examples of use cases that we are doing in Sprinkler itself is somewhere where mark we make sure that a marketing qualified lead goes to sales qualified lead via AI. So what actually happens is, if someone fills up the form, it is still under pilot, but of course we will go live with it. So if someone fills up our form and then they, ask for maybe demo, so AI start working on it. AI start sending emails out, and the moment the other person shows interest, okay, I'm interested in scheduling a meeting. The moment the other person sends that email, AI understands it contextual, it learns what user wants, and accordingly it qualifies to sales. If they are not interested, it automatically again mark that contact as not interested. So that's where slowly we are picking up there to incorporate all the AI in our marketing funnel. That is one when we say from right from MQL to SQL conversion that is happening through AI. And on our different platforms, when we talk about omni-channel marketing or chatbots, even there, uh, in order to give them right suggestions throughout, or even, you know, trying to help user to select right products from our suite, is where we are helping customers to, or lessen down the friction between customer experience.
But
So yeah.
how do you gauge the customer sentiment?
Mhm.
I mean, I mean, intelligence is that if I go to Blinkit again, and if
Mhm.
I've seen my favorite actress eat a chocolate ice cream rather than vanilla, subconsciously I'll try to order a chocolate ice cream and not vanilla, which I ordered a day before. How does AI actually gauge that sentiment? Because for that, it will have to follow my entire journey. And then there comes another point to it. What about privacy? India's DPDP Act is
Yeah.
already really enforcing. Google tried, slashing third-party cookies multiple times in the last 4 5 years and yet failed. In its latest approach, it has again gone back to third-party, cookies. So how does AI gauge? I think that's the pertinent question that we need to find the answer today, because I think that will build our brands in the future of the marketing of the brands. Yes, please.
So in B2C context, when we talk about blanket and when we talk about the example, there, as you said, right, it is automation, it is not AI as per se. But at points when we come, like for example, if you're ordering a lot of groceries in blanket, there we can understand, if you're ordering something relevant, like if you're ordering probably you'll order biscuits as well, you'll order tea as well, right? So all that, predictions that we can do from a grocery list, that can happen on blanket, but not with the ice cream flavors, of course. So that kind of analysis is still, I think, we are yet to reach there. Even if we want to do it, we can do it at B2B level mostly. And even, even if we are doing it B2C level, then we will have to understand what they're talking about in social media, what they are doing on social media, or what they're doing digitally, what are the digital footprints, and where we have the, boundaries to access those digital footprints of user. So that we will have to gauge. And
No,
then,
I was
of course,
actually sorry. I was actually expecting that answer. I mean, we are not there yet, and
yeah,
people who
we are
are
not
there,
there.
people who are there, like OpenAI is there. I mean, it
Mhm.
can really map my customer journey across. They are facing legal challenges across the world, as we know. I mean, in India also, they have a legal suit against them from one of the big news networks,
Mhm.
for copyright infringement. So I think there's a lot of permutation and combination which is going right now. I think we are in a flux, when it
Yeah.
comes to using the real intelligence. But I mean that okay, and that takes me to a very interesting question for Dr. Sharma. Um, Dr. Sharma, today investors are really putting their money into companies that prioritize sustainability. I mean, that is the fad word. I mean, when I was working with Renew, the high ground we used to take when it comes to investments coming in is because, amazing sustainability scores. And companies today which are nowhere close to being green are actually investing a lot in sustainability, maybe just to garner investor limelight. So however, in 2024 Unilever cut back its sustainability claims due to regulatory scrutiny, and Indian brands are now facing similar challenges. What can MarTech do to ensure accountability in green marketing, not just optics, and actually elevate, brands to actually use the term sustainability well within the organizations?
Yes. Thank you so much, Bridge, for asking the question. A very relevant question. And as I always say that, AI and sustainability, I mean, both of the, it's the new power couple, and that's where when we look at it from an Indian perspective, 98% of the business, that is what the statistic shows, are using AI, are using MarTech to promote their brands and to achieve their sustainability goals. So when you look at this whole domain of sustainability, there's been more white noise in and around this domain of sustainability. I mean, as you rightly said, currently it's only used as optics, because that understanding of how to practice sustainability and understanding of that concept, that what exactly is sustainability, is not there amongst masses. When we talk about sustainability, generally there's a snow blindedness which comes in, which talks about that it has something to do with the environment, something to do with something to do with the CSR aspect of it, and there is a cost which a business has to incur. They, in fact, they don't see it as, it's building a good brand, creating a value proposition out of it, and something where you can build a sound foundation, and there is a business case aspect of sustainability is not seen. So that is where we only talk from optics perspective of sustainability. But then when you are looking at this whole domain of sustainability, I'll just talk about that there is a huge opportunity cost for the business sector, especially for the MarTech sector, when you marry the performance with your planet positive purpose. And these are not just broader terms, there are statistics to it. There are companies who've been following it, companies like Amazon who's been following it, who've used AI to optimize their supply chain, and they've used MarTech also to talk about it when in talk about screening their the life, doing a life cycle assessment of the product, looking at the data part as far as the packaging is concerned, optimizing the logistics operation, and talking about it and communicating it to the consumers and to the stakeholders. So it's not about just doing well, but then now when you look at it from a consumer perspective, it's doing well by doing good. And now we have consumers. So when we talk from a hyper personalization perspective, where we are looking at the behavioral triggers and from the consumer side, especially when we talk, you've been, I think this whole conversation has been in and around loyalty aspect. And the new playbook talks about more than 1500 15,000 AI tools available. And there is in this home, what loyalty is one of the biggest concern. And we talk from the aspect of trust. How can brand build trust where the brand retention is not there, the loyalty is not there? And this is what we are talking from a marketing aspect. But when you look at it from a customer aspect, from a consumer side, still we see that for them also it's the same thing. Gen Z's and Gen Alphas, they are questioning brands now, what the brands stand for. So and they're easy, when we look at Gen Alphas, I'm not talking about Gen Z's, but the children who are in school, they're so evolved that when they look at the brand, they question the brand, that where the sourcing of the raw materials has been, like, whether what is your carbon footprint, what kind of people are you employing there. So these are bigger questions, these are not just strategic questions here. Now stakeholders are also waking up to it, and they assess the brands on these basis. So I see their brands like, I would name a brand such as Total Energies. All of us know Total Energies, a big brand, globally a big brand. But they were also penalized because they were talking in the marketing campaign about decarbonizing and saving the planet Earth. And they were fined in a big way because, again, when you look at your, the act, the greenwashing act, and they said that, no, you cannot talk about it. So greenwashing is another aspect which, especially MarTech people have to know. India is waking up to it. Indian regulatory bodies are waking up to it. We have been seeing, in fact, before you joined in, I was talking to Harshad that how this whole regulatory, scenario is zooming in onto the businesses now. So when you talk from your, your DPDP Act, which you've spoken about, the recent draft which came in 2025, February 2025, it gives you a very stringent guidelines, and there has been very stricter penalization. There are companies, known companies, who've been just fined 50 crores because of the marketing campaign which they run and which breach certain, regulatory boundaries. There have been, there has been responsible AI guidelines. There are broader 8 guidelines for AI, for the tech tools, where where the regulatory bodies are asking businesses or the AI tech, AI tools or AI systems to build in, integrate it into their operations. So when you look at it from an investor side, there is an ESG risk audit to your brands. So it's, they check you, they look at it from the design aspect. So privacy by design, where you look at human centric designs are being, questioned and being asked by. So there is, this domain is increasing. I mean, I would just sum up by saying that, the stakeholders are also being aware. They are questioning companies, and it's more of like, you have to genuinely be good. So it's not only looking good is important, putting up like, just, but then doing well by doing good is what which matters. Yes,
I am certainly asking a lot of questions to
please
Vazira.
do.
Wazir X these days. I'll come to you, Pranjal, later, but I'm first going to Niharika. Niharika, there have been a lot of instances in the past wherein customer loyalty is dipping when it comes to
Mhm.
healthcare providers, health
Right.
insurance providers. We
Mhm.
saw a very famous US shooting case,
Mhm.
which happened due to that the United CEO was killed. The context of that. In India also, there have been a lot of stories, wherein certain brands who had promised a certain, medical loan, medical aid didn't come through.
Mhm.
And you are building entirely new market category.
Right.
Uh, and as Dr. Sharma said, Gen Alphas. I mean, I don't know if I'm Gen Z. I'm 30. I don't know, but Gen Alphas for sure are really, really, asking brands the question. Because they're very, very technologically connected to, to everything. I mean,
Mhm.
we weren't. Gen Y wasn't at all. I mean, they were to an extent, but today's customer, the young Indian, the young global, they are really, really asking questions. How do you use marketing, and not just marketing, the technology vis-a-vis marketing, to
Mhm.
actually fill in that white space, in your industry?
Right. So to start with that question, I would say that it all starts with the heart of the product. And while building that, we draw insights from the employees that we have at our organization. So Savin is a fairly young organization with an average age of like 30, in fact lower than that. And we start asking these questions to our employees that if you have to take care of your health, and if you have to, unfortunately, if in any unfortunate incident happens for that matter, what are the things that you would want to um, access in a jiffy? And are you even aware about the problems that insurance or any these so-called wellness programs comes with? So
Hmm.
to answer that, I think building something which comes from the heart, and then understanding our journeys, and also from a marketing standpoint, we feel that we start with zero assumptions basically. So it's not any predefined notion that we start with while building our marketing journeys. We go back, we start with zero, and then we say that we will map each and every journey from end to end, question every form fill, question every email cadence, sales follow up, and in terms of designing strategies for retaining Gen Zs and Gen Alphas or Gen Y in our case, we start giving them value based content to understand what is the lack of information that these guys are not even aware about. So, designing an ecosystem of value based content, and while reaching out to them in a way which is more accessible. Instagram is a channel that we make use of on a regular basis. We have started to post relatable content in terms of mental health being one of the major issues, or dental not being covered by insurance. Companies claiming that the employee benefits that these guys give out to their employees, having a utilization of not more than 50-60%, whereas what we are trying to build is 100% usable, is accessible, it can be availed from day zero as soon as you get onboarded on the app.
Okay. Pranjal, I'll come to you. And I have a very interesting question for you. Um, Start of this conversation, we talked about customer loyalty. We also talked about customer attention span. These days, marketing um, is turning into, I mean, it's changing its place from more than product-led to customer-led, right? There was a time when marketers used to sell the product and the customers would get attracted to it like bees. But today, it's more about the customer. They try to sense what the customer wants and then deliver a product, right? Uh, when it comes to, you, what would you choose? What would you do, a product-led growth or a marketing led growth in a market like India, where now the customer is very educated. It knows, what the company is doing. And especially when it comes to, crypto, you can actually use a lot of products within the company to, market yourself. So are you doing that, or are you, in the hindsight, are you directly targeting the customer?
Cool bridge. A heavy question. So before I just wanted to bring this point. Dr. Shruti was talking about ESG and sustainable marketing. What happened to us was that we used partnered with Swiggy to distribute pamphlets across some tier 2 cities. And to my surprise, our one of our existing customers got that pamphlet, who was already using Mudrex, and he wrote a very beautiful long email to us. Ki, see, hi guys, I'm already your customer. Why did you send a pamphlet to me? You could have saved this printing of paper and protected environment, and maybe so many digital channels are available. You could have you know chosen other channels than printing and distributing pamphlets. So yeah, customers are aware. Customers do want brands that think a lot more other than just their needs and their business, whether they are Zen Alpha and Gen Z, at least perceptively cares more about what's happening to environment or to community. So I think just wanted to make now coming to your point, I think Bridge, we cannot you know say that ki, yaar, na, this type of marketing is better than this type of, or you there are different stages of brand and which require different kind of adoption metrics or different kind of methods that you need to use. Say our early 0 to 1 brand would have to spend in brand awareness.
Hmm.
That you yourself got there are 10,000 brands, and if you want to get noticed by people, you'll have to spend more on brand awareness and keep on so the people notice you and people try you. Mature brands like Mudrex today in crypto world, we spend time and energy more on optimizing product experiences, because we now have that cycle or a growth loop that has been created, where a large part of our customers come from word of mouth or referral. But I can't go and say this to every brand that exists, because there are different kinds of brands also. Like we are a product that is that by nature has a high retention. You wouldn't want to change your broker or an app easily. Easily there's a high switching cost already that exists. But a brand that
Unless
sells
you are doing
shoes.
options. Unless you
Yeah, there's a high churn in options, and we want lesser and lesser people to do options. So, uh, uh, so that is where we have to focus more energies on as a brand. Vice versa, a shoe brand or a brand that offers products which are consumables. They will have to spend more energy on more resources and energy on more customer based stories and putting those out. So I think one picture fit all strategy doesn't exist. Matlab, you need to optimize your strategy based on the kind of brand you are, at what stage of building brand and company you are,
Hmm.
and what's your focus right now.
Okay.
So yeah,
So,
yeah,
I think a very interesting, I mean, you very rightly said it's not either or.
either or, yeah.
Brands today have to really launch at multiple fronts.
Hmm.
Before I go for my next question, it's already 4:41. I'll bring the audience in. Audiences, you can put your questions in the question box. A small clickable Q option which you would be seeing on the left hand of your screen. You can use that to put your question to the panelists, and we will put that question here. Um, okay, so my I'm opening the discussion, and anybody, if you can come in. One question that I've asked during all these panels is the skills required. While we are taking our brands to the next level, we are thinking of 10 years ahead. Um, a lot of us, do not really understand the skills needed to do that. And when I say us, I'm not talking about us per se, people who are working in the teams, because it's a very dynamic field. I mean, tomorrow there's another tool which you would want to use, and the skill required to use that tool, the company who has brought out that tool doesn't know how to use that. Meanwhile, you have bought that tool and you want to use that to your advantage. How do you, in such a dynamic environment, how do you actually, keep up with the skills required? And I see Dr. Sharma, who has unmuted herself. Please go ahead if you want to take that up.
Yeah, Bridge, your question. In fact, I would just want to highlight this was a research which was done by Harvard Business Review, and exactly same thing. It did the research on, and this was this question that what is the future? Where does the future lie as far as AI technology is concerned, as far as branding is concerned? And it said that the future lies, as you've mentioned, that now with the focus has shifted to consumer, so brands are pitching consumers, but they say next 4 to 5 years from now, brands will pitch their products to the AI proxies. And that is where they talk about the platform technologies growing in. And we already see that coming. So they say that, in next 3 to 4 years, Alexas, Googles, and Siris would be taking your purchase decision. So brands, yes, the consumers will be important, but then the screening of what will a consumer be bought will be done by the Google, Alexas, and Siris. So pitching into that interface, pitching it to the AI proxies will become more important there. And that is where they say that when you have to pitch your product to the AI proxies, the screening criteria would then come into place. So then when we are talking from a hyper personalization perspective, where we talk about behavioral triggers and doing a predictive analysis, and that is where you talk from a pattern perspective, from a consumer, understand how do we pitch it to AI proxies. So there will be a challenging task, because your AI will know that what exactly does the consumer want. My Alexa knows my wants, and they will screen the product accordingly. And so all the other parameters will become very important, when we look at the broader parameter, what the stakeholder wants or what the consumer wants, Gen Alphas or Gen Z's. So that
Hmm.
is where, and economies of scale and economies of scope. My last thing would be that currently we function on economies of scale, but then economies of scope would then be important, that what kind of your deeper relationships will become very important. Deeper relationships across categories would become very important.
Focused relations.
Focused categories would become very important, where you will start pitching to your AI proxies. So that.
So, is there anybody wants to take up that question? Because I have a question from somebody who is watching us. Just a second. So I have a question from Mr. Mayan Gogia, who is Chief Manager at Rajasthan Patrika. Uh, his question is, how do brands select the platforms in an omni-channel advertising? And what KPIs are critical, assuming for a brand that is targeting a Gen Z alpha, but their parents are paying for it, uh, millennials slash baby boomers. So Gen Z alphas are, selecting, millennials and baby boomers are paying. How does, in a scenario like that, how does a brand select the platform for omni-channel advertising? I think that is the question. Who would want to take that up? Okay, I'll have to direct. Would you want to take that up, Harshad?
Okay, to
I think
understand
it's a more
this,
B2C, question. I understand.
yeah, no problem. But to understand this question properly, I just want to know the an omni-channel platform is according to needs of it is not, again, like what Pranjal said, right? There's no one solution to it. There's no one platform to it which can solve the problem. It is all dependent on how what problem statement you have. If you want to do omnichannel across and you want to map journeys across, then there are definitely a lot of tools. Again, it is finding needle in the haystack, because there are a lot of tools. Even a sprinkler does that. Omnichannel, it helps deliver omnichannel experiences. But again, that is for scale. It also gives you sentimental analysis across platform, and it also helps uh, the teams, the stakeholders who are handling all this, marketing channels, sales channels, and then see 360-degree view of the customer. So that depends on what is required. But yes, of course, there could be a architecture way to resolve this. Always have a CDP, which can, customer data platform, which can unify all the data from all channels and give you a 360-degree view of a customer, and then make strategies or segmentation accordingly, so that you can target users or customers with personalized content, personalized products, and then at the end, you can also see what is happening throughout the journey
I
for
have a
a
very
customer.
interesting, sorry, I have a very interesting question coming in. This is Priya Gupta, who is customer experience lead at Jiva. She asked, in a world where data privacy is becoming more important, how can MarTech solutions balance personalization with customer privacy? Something which we, didn't take up in this discussion. But yes, I see Pranjal, smiling at that. Would you want to take that up? Privacy versus
I
the
think I
policy
think
versus customer debate. Yes.
all marketers and MarTech users would be hypocrite while answering this question of responsibly using data. I think I, I actually don't have an answer. I believe, as Shruti pointed a little bit in that direction, that where the future goes is, you have personal AI agents that know the entire context, and your data doesn't go out of the system. And those AI agents interact with agents of different platforms. Let's say a Bridges agents interact with Mudrex and tells them only information which is needed to optimize my experience, and nothing else goes out to
Uh,
the platform. Some that kind of future that we can imagine. But anyways, today data is exploited at all levels and used by everybody to optimize their campaigns, whether they were performance marketing or Google, Facebook campaigns, or even if you're going about
mm,
taking even when you using internal channels to push customers to do certain activities, you use a lot of data. And there's a thin line between using crossing that line, whether you can use a certain data, or you
mm,
shouldn't use a certain data. What is interesting to note here is, I think sometimes the privacy becomes an overshoot conversation. People talk a lot about privacy, but do everybody really care so much about privacy, and to what extent they care about and they do not care about? If you sample 100 people, maybe they'll choose convenience. Like, I'll choose convenience over privacy, maybe most places in my life. Of course, I don't want my videos to go out, but you knowing that where do I
then they go out.
exist,
There are a
I
lot
have
of
nothing
us.
to.
Not
Yeah,
hide.
I love when Swiggy tells me, "Oh, you are in Hyderabad, try these places." I love that. I don't mind sharing that information with Swiggy, or Uber suggesting me, an airport ride. Oh, you are at an airport. So we have to look at, we cannot have a one direction, that privacy and privacy like a god
No, I
figure.
think, sorry to cut you
It's
in,
a
but I think there's a line that needs to be drawn. I mean, we all know as marketers that, our phones listen to us today. I mean, the conversations we are
correct,
having, right?
correct.
They listen into us, and I think that draws a line, right? Because I don't know when I mean, location sharing is okay. If you're in Hyderabad, then
No,
Swiggy.
why? That is was the point I was trying to make. It's a difficult decision to make, whether what is the line and what line not to cross.
Mm.
There are broader lines, but viewing video of me in camera at any time, it's, of course, you shouldn't do that. But there are other things that you can share, and I would want it to be shared, right?
Mhm.
Just adding up to
Yes.
it, Bridge here, that just adding up to Pranjal's point is because now government is very seriously thinking about doing privacy by design. So that is a context where there's a lot of policy directions, like initiatives and talks have been going on, that what kind of data you need to capture. You have to mention it during the design stage only, and you have to limit yourself. If you go
Mm.
beyond that thing, again there will be regulations. So that's where
I mean, there was a big new which was coming in today. FTA in US has asked Meta to separate WhatsApp and Instagram. So I think that will play a big role in terms of information sharing, because I think these two platforms, account for 50% of customer, experience sharing globally. So I think that will have a big role to play in our discussions as we go forward. Um, I'll take one more question as we near five. Uh, Shalini Verma, who is from Licious. What do you think is the next big trend in MarTech that brands should be prepared for? Very interesting, particularly in terms of cross-channel marketing. But I'll remove cross-channel marketing and I'll put that question. What do you think is the next big trend in MarTech? One-liner from each of the panelists. Niharika, we'll start with you. Next big trend in MarTech slash AI.
I think it is taking a step back from hyper personalization and not making the customer overwhelmed with the thought that, oh my God, if this phone is taking almost every information away from me, what if they end up doing something which is not, on my mind? So
Mhm.
taking a step back from hyper personalization is something that I feel um, should become a trend, I would say, because there we spoke so much about data that there are regulations that needs to be followed, but we can how do I say, the most powerful marketing lever is not personalization, it's permission. So we have to understand what to show and what to draw insights from.
I mean, if not, a lot of marketers would agree with you. I certainly agree with you. Sometimes I've had my lunch and Zomato pops up with a notification saying, आपने क्या राजमा चावल खाया? I don't want to eat that. I mean, already have.
Right.
I mean, yeah. To you, Shruti, I think you have already said, agentic AI, personal AI. Is that the future of MarTech?
For me, I would say yes. I've spoken about that's the future of AI, but I would like to add up to it that transparency becomes the holy grail. So for transparency and ethics will be there, whatever AI tool, unless and until I mean, again, transparency will be enabled, I mean, all the blockchains which we see currently, everything will enable transparency in your product, everything. So transparency becomes there, ethics will become very important when we are catering, because there is a huge transformational shift which we are seeing towards virtual economy. And it's not, you say, we have started seeing a wave where from the customer side, from the stakeholder side. So as I've mentioned previously also, so for my take, it's transparency and ethics.
Hmm. Pranjal, next big thing in MarTech?
Uh, I think we've already spoke about, but I think with evolving MarTech, I think technology uh, will become so commoditized, and the usage of commodities, usage of this commoditized technology by agents. So
Hmm.
I think for me, I see the value is in building communities. That's a very separate from MarTech. And if you can use MarTech to build effective communities and better communities for people to engage, uh, that's the key. And that's the differentiator that you can bring to your brand. And that should focus on people. I think MarTech is,
Interesting.
is just enablers and who doesn't give any more to anybody.
Yes, over to you, Harshad.
Yeah, so I think it will be something which is chat based. Likewise, the chat GPT already came, I know, but in 10, 15, or 5 years or 10 years down the lane, the websites, what you go and purchase on Amazon probably will be on chat based thing. You will ask agents to select me a shoes, or give me good options for white shoes or black shoes, whatever it is, and then it will search out for inventories, and it will give you options there.
And it,
So
it
I
already
think,
has your past shopping experience, your past, I mean, the
sorry?
agent already knows what your past shopping experience is.
Yeah,
Anytime
yeah,
you had
definitely.
a fight with your wife, so which shoe going to
Definitely, but
buy?
yeah, definitely. Oh, and also all the brands would want to do that as a chatbot thing,
Hmm.
because it will be very interactive, and it will be very interaction based only. So that's where we are moving in, and then probably that's where we should focus to get to get such chatbots, and try
Hmm.
experimenting with.
Okay, so thank you all. But before we close, I do this very interesting breakout session, before we close, which is rapid fire questions, away from, what we discussed, something very personal. So certainly our audience enjoys that. So I'll start with Harshad. Harshad, if you weren't working in MarTech, what other career would you have, you know,
Hmm.
pursued?
Pro- Probably building a product or playing basketball. I would have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, um, Dr. Sharma, if not a professor, what profession would you have chosen? Or if not a professor in sustainability and marketing, what other, you know, topics would you like to?
I like advertising a lot. So I think media and advertising would have been, the next best choice after
I mean, you
sustainability.
could have become a very good news anchor. I'm sure you would have become a very good news anchor. Uh,
Thanks. Yeah.
Niharika, you know, outside of marketing, if you could master one skill or profession, what would it be?
So Briz, I am in marketing, but because it allows you to do multiple things. I don't want to stick to one thing. But had I not been a marketer, I think I would have gone to theater because I want to experience new, lives almost every other day. And then I end up doing a lot of things at even one shot. So maybe it's my hyperactivity disorder or whatever. But I am of that kind which who can't stick to just one route with blinders on. So I need to try my hands in different things. So probably theater, something in music.
Music, you said.
Yeah,
Oh, do you sing?
sometimes I do. Yes.
Okay. Um, um, to you, Pranjal, you know, who has inspired you the most in your career, and in your professional journey?
Uh, I think inspired most. Can't take a name, man. uh, uh, can't take a single name, but the founders that I've worked with, I've worked mostly with 0 to 1 companies, and closely worked. Their resilience and persistence have
Hmm.
inspired me a lot. My current founder inspires me a lot. I wanted to answer that question because I've been started working on that on my alternate career path as well, is being a professor of psychology,
Oh,
and and I think I've started pursuing that also already. So it's very interesting,
I'm
and
sure Shruti will find you a vacancy in Terry once you complete. So that's very interesting. I think that with that we come to the end of this session. I think it's exactly 5 in my watch. I mean, thank you all, Harshad, Shruti, Niharika, and Pranjal, not just for sharing frameworks, but giving us real world insights. To the audience, I think we have heard today about unlearning, adapting, perhaps building systems that not just serve conversion but trust, action, and impact. To everyone watching, if you enjoyed today's conversation, follow E4M MarTech, join our newsletter, and mark your calendars for our September summit. We are launching the India MarTech Summit in August, sorry, not September, where these insights will get deeper, bolder, and even real. We'll be back with our next episode on 22nd of May. Till then, thank you so much. Thank you all the panelists. Thank you, audience, for joining. Thank you. Bye bye.
thank you, Bridge. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye
everyone.
bye.
Thank you, everyone.